How's it going, y'all? Today, we're going to be taking a look at RP Southside. This is a port of an incredibly well-known and a personal favorite Garry's Mod map, available for download on mod.io for Bonelab. And it has been ported over by a creator that we actually know on the channel, Toxic. We know Toxic because they were actually the mod developer that ported over GM Northbury, which we checked out at the end of last year, for those of you that remember. If you haven't seen that video, that was another enjoyable map. Please do go take a look at that. So, it seems at the beginning of every one of these videos now I'm going to end up making an apology for it being so long since the last time that I've made a video. And admittedly, I do feel sorry that I haven't really taken the time to make more stuff. But to put it bluntly, I'm kind of I'm making my dreams come true. I have made a lot of progress in school, which has allowed me to begin working towards the career that I desire of visual effects compositing and 3D modeling for film and TV. And the effort that I'm putting in is working. Nice. I'm actually a big space fan, and I watched the recent Artemis II mission, which was essentially a repeat of the unintentional mission that was Apollo 13 of the slingshot around the moon. I follow it, and I'm very excited for all the moon missions because I live in Florida now, and so I can see those launches from my house. But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit more about this map and why I chose this one specifically. RP Southside has a special place in my heart because I have played this map for many years on Garry's Mod, and once we get to certain parts of the map, I'm going to talk a little bit more about exactly just why this map is important to me. Besides the fact that it's just an awesome looking map. I do want to go into the office building because that's another important building for me, but I want to just take this in. Also, this is a big map. Now, that is to be said that if this entire Garry's Mod map has been indeed ported into Bonelab, then this is going to be a long video, and I may even have to switch headsets for the necessity of making sure I have enough battery life, because this is a big map, and I'm very excited. I thought, what better way to visit my YouTube family by making a map that's A, quite large, and B, pretty popular. Admittedly, I'm also a little out of practice with making these videos, simply because of, well, I haven't made one in a while, and the last video that y'all saw from me was recorded months ago. The Tron video, I mean. If you haven't checked that out, that was a fun little video. And that'll, of course, be on my channel. I see the water effects were preserved enough, and it looks good. It also took me a while to remember how to set my entire my headset and my computer up to be able to record these videos and make sure that OBS was capturing my headset audio. I've tried using external microphones before, and I did that in a past video, but it just didn't sound good. I believe it was the dark places, or I can't remember exactly what that map was called. It was the first map I ever made on Bonelab on the PC. And the audio quality was pretty rough because I tried to use an external microphone, when in reality, the microphone on the Quest 3 is actually really good. So, oh my goodness, that was my phone. Let me turn my my phone off, because I don't need any jump scares coming from my phone notifications going off. So, just give me a second. So again, I'm actually incredibly excited to be able to be looking at this map. I miss making these videos. I've recently been going back to watch some of my older videos, and I realized just how much fun and nostalgia I'm now starting to look back at those, when I started making these videos only in, August? If that long ago? I've also noticed that I've begun building up a whole lot more subscribers recently. And even while I haven't been making videos, and I know why. My most popular VR video right now is The Backrooms Withering Reality, and the creator, myself, that's his name, he actually, he reached out to me and said that he really appreciated the video. And I know that that's popular because of the A24 Kane Pixels film that just wrapped up production, or principal photography. I believe they just finished and they've gone into post, if they aren't already done with post-production or getting ready to go to theaters soon. Admittedly, I haven't really been looking into that film too much. And I think partially it's because I've become, among some other folks on the internet, somewhat lethargic of straight Backrooms content. I followed the Kane Pixel stuff in the beginning, but now, I don't know, it feels a little too 4chan-y. And what's surprising about that is they actually have a pretty notable cast, but I haven't been able to get myself excited for it yet. Now, I'm definitely going to go see it. I am excited to see it, but it's not a film that I'm dying to go see. When it comes out on 4K Blu-ray, I will buy it. When it goes into theaters, I will go to see it. I will pay my ticket price, despite the fact that I have Regal Unlimited, so I'll go see it for free. But nonetheless, I'm a little tired of classic Backrooms content, and I desire something with a twist, which is why I think that I might be so nostalgic for these maps, these ports, and these custom Bonelab maps that I've been touring, because they give me the feeling that they evoke the emotions that I first felt when I first discovered the Backrooms around 2020. There are so many YouTube videos on my computer that I scripted, filmed, and edited that never got posted about the Backrooms. And I don't I don't consider posting them because it's been so long, and frankly, it's not reflective of the type of content that I make today. And so I tend to just keep those videos to myself. Now, that being said, if any of y'all really are just dying to see some of those videos, I promise you they're not the quality of my modern videos, or well, I don't know that I can say that, but what I will say is they're not the same type of video. I'll say it that way. These gameplay videos are a different genre of video compared to the ones that I used to make back in 2020. And I had a very different personality about myself at that time as well. I've experienced a lot in life since then, and because of that, I tend to carry myself a little differently now, even on the internet, especially on the internet, really. I also noticed that I'm getting a little bit of jitter in my headset, so I'm hoping that doesn't translate over to y'all. And I'll do my best to try and talk a little bit more about the map at hand rather than just it be me talking while walking through a video game city. But I've played this map, as I've said, many times in pancake mode, on my computer, and I've played it with friends, I've played it alone, and I have never played it in VR, even with Gary's Mod's VR mod. Speaking of which, I saw that Sandbox, which is unofficially Gary's Mod 2, has officially been released, or at the very least, I think some development version is now available for purchase or something like that on Steam. I'm not gonna lie, as much as I love Garry's Mod, I just don't feel like anything can replace it. I feel like Bonelab is honestly pretty close to any type of Garry's Mod port, at the very least for VR, but I just don't... I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't feel necessarily excited, I guess. I don't know. I want to note right now, when I was coming up to walk right here, I gotta remember which eye is being recorded. I have to look over at my screen and see. Okay, so it's my right eye. So using my right eye to figure out where I'm looking, that little nub right there, the barrier on the street, when I was about right here, it looked like the back end of a wiener dog. And I can't pretend that I didn't see it. I love wiener dogs. They're my favorite dog. They are my spirit animal. So now I wonder... Wow, was this the building? Or was it a different one? So I need to talk a little bit about my past with... Well, with Garry's Mod, with filmmaking, as I've noted, that's what I'm trying to do. I think I've mentioned it a couple times on my channel. I shot a short film almost entirely, well, it was entirely in Garry's Mod, but it was very specific. It wasn't a short film, actually. It was a feature-length film that I wrote in conjunction with some friends of mine. And it was completely shot on green screen, and all the sets were designed in Garry's Mod. And half of the film took place in this map, RP Southside, along with, I believe there was another one called Rose City. I may be wrong, but these maps are the set of my short film. Well, feature length. Now, that film we shot in the summer of 2022, it never got completed. The film was set to be about 90 minutes long, hour and a half, and we only ever probably shot 20 minutes of the film, and probably only 75% of that film ever got edited. And I have a big cut of, an adapted cut of all of the shots that at the time I had finished as of the beginning of last summer when I got back from living in Europe. And it's in no state that I'd want to express it to the internet yet, but eventually maybe I can edit it all together in a way that I feel would make sense to show to you all. So with that being said, if you would like to... Oh, wow. That was moody. With that being said, if you do want to see what a film shot partially in Garry's Mod looks like, I'd be happy to look more into completing a cut of it, or of the scenes that I had done so far, and putting that up online for y'all. And I'll show some clips and some screenshots of it as we go through the map, because in the office building, there are some scenes that we shot there, as well as if this is the apartment building that we used, there should be a room in this building that we used in the film. And so that's one of the reasons this map is so special to me. And actually, I realized that I never grabbed my flashlight. Oh yeah, this is why PC is better than Quest right now. Because the flashlight actually looks like a flashlight. I forgot. It's a back pocket. Yep. This... Honestly, this may be... no, so, I do remember... This is totally... Okay, this is totally the building. Now, this isn't the room, but this is the building that we used for a large portion of the short film. Because I decorated, and we'll find the specific room, and once we do, I will show you clips and screen grabs from the film. I decorated the room to look lived in. I made it feel like two college students, the main characters, were actually living there. I'm pretty sure it was on like the third floor, maybe. And all these rooms are pretty much the same, if I remember right. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a port of the map. It's not surprising that it's exactly, how I remember it. Of course, yeah. So it's on a higher floor, and I need to see it. Oh, blue hallway. Yep, okay. This is it. Honestly, this is it. So, it's funny. Shooting the short film, so this was the scene right here. We had a table set right here, and on green screen, I was sitting in a chair right there counting out money. And it's strange because while shooting the film, we didn't exactly know what the backdrops were going to look like. My workflow, my production pipeline was not very solid. We shot the scenes and then built the sets around them. It was the wrong way to go. We should have built the sets and shot the scenes around them. But on this side of the table was my buddy, and he played the other main character. And we had this whole dynamic going, and then over here we had a TV, and we did a scene where we were talking about an event that had taken place. We had a couch here. My buddy was standing behind the couch, and we even got it to look like he was leaning on the couch. And it came out really good. We just never pushed the film. It was an incredibly ambitious project. Me and all my friends, we all had full-time jobs. We didn't have a lot of free time. And, we're writers. That's what we do. We're all writers. We're not actors. I really enjoy acting, and my buddy enjoys acting as well, but we're not great at it. So it was all about fun. We had a cast of about 30 people we had planned, hour-and-a-half long film, completely shot on a green screen. It was ambitious, but we made a lot of it happen, and we have the receipts to prove it. So I love this map because of that reason. And along the way, you're going to see some more rooms as well. Now, this, if I remember right, I don't think this really goes anywhere. Oh my goodness. I spoke too soon. Come on, work. I don't know why bashing it was going to work, or why I thought it would. Ah, the roof. Nope. So, there it is. So yeah, that's the office building. We're going to go up there and I'll show you guys some more. So they really did port the entirety of RP Southside. At least that's what it looks like. The whole map is here. We are not going to be able to see this whole thing, at least not in one go. We're going to have to do multiple videos, which it'll work fine for me. So why don't we go back to ground level, and we will move on to the next street, I guess. We'll figure that out. Okay, so that was a nice little trip down memory lane. Let's continue on this way, because I think this half of the map is a little smaller, so it's more manageable. But I think I love this map as well because the sound work in it is so good. It sounds like there's a bustling city, and just, it's like when you're walking around and you hear cars, you hear traffic, you hear people, you feel like you could just round the corner of the next block over and find it packed. But when you get there, it's like everyone ran away. And they all moved to another part of the city, leaving you alone. Admittedly, some parts of this map I've never explored. I always stuck to my RPs in certain areas, and I think this was a I don't know if it was a courthouse. I do remember the building, I just don't remember what's inside of it. Ooh. Ooh. Darkness on both sides. There's an office in the front here, yep. I do not like how dark it is back here. I think it is funny to have the computer, the actual tower, right here on the desk. To just be the lowly receptionist. Someone walks in from the dark. A little late to be doing some work at the courthouse, don't you think? Or county offices, town hall, whatever this may be. I love the atmosphere, though. And as I've been learning 3D modeling, it's funny to go around and start seeing just how simple these maps really are. This is just a cube that's been extruded and stretched and has a texture wrapped around it. There's no bevel, no fine details, no height bump maps. That's the Arizona flag. I guess that must be where this takes place. At least if I recognize the Arizona flag. I'm in, you know, East Coast, so there is a little bit of a clipping issue. And it's a physics object. Interesting. How about I just yeet? Ooh, my tummy didn't like that. So, I also want to talk about something. I want to talk about some of the comments that I've been receiving, and this is going somewhere good. It's not bad news. It's not me getting upset or anything controversial. I received a lot of comments recently about how I give off the librarian vibes. And one of my earliest VR videos, I actually mentioned that I was a big fan of his. So, secret's out. I know who the librarian is. I'm a big fan of his. And my early content really kind of was me doing what he does. And what I mean by that is these exploration videos. Yeah, I kind of was... I don't know if I was just copying straight off, but the style... You know, Mr. Beast made a format of YouTube video, and then everyone copied it, but they made it their own a little bit. You know, first 10 seconds of a video has to be super impactful, your thumbnails have to be super colorful, have your face in it, have a bunch of arrows pointing and all that. The librarian created a brand of video, and I was incredibly attracted to that. And so I wanted to make it. And he actively encourages people, go do that. Go play these maps, experience that, make these memories for yourself. And so that's what I did. Of course, you know, I didn't just play them. I made YouTube videos about them. Because, oddly enough, when I record things, I feel like they become a more solid memory in my mind, because I can go back to it. When I watch my old videos, I feel like I can almost tap back into the mindset I was in when I was playing those games. When I was experiencing those moments, I'm reconnecting with a past self. Man, this is something else. And this ends in a fence, right? Yep. I'm gonna... There we go. I love this geometry, though. I love what's happening here. I love the buildings obscured in darkness, and they get a little brighter towards the sky as the moon reflects off of them. Oh, it's so nice. Just look at that. Look at that ambiance. I wonder if that's our thumbnail. You'll know before I do. Oh, and the sewer. I'm not ready to explore the sewer just yet. I'm going to avoid that for now. But as I was saying, I am to catch us up, I'm aware of who the librarian is. I love his videos. I really appreciate his content. I wish that I could only be a fraction as interesting as he is, because he adds an atmosphere to each and every map that he plays that I just don't know how he does it. I don't know where he gets that energy from. And I have noted in myself in the beginning I was kind of copying his cadences, his speech patterns, because, you know, he created a brand and I was replicating that brand. And over time I've started to recognize that I was doing that and have tried to actively change that so as to, you know, experience this from my own personal angle and not as me, you know, role-playing the librarian. What does that say on the marquee? President Evil. No Malone, President Evil. Pie Hard, that's good. Go to the hospital here. But yeah, I love the librarian. I love what he does. It's very shiny. I don't know if this shininess is showing up on your end, but it's very glittery in here on the floor. I also love in-game literature and stuff to see what is being shown. Mad Magazine. Love to see it. Yeah, I love exploration videos of video games because video games really do display only a clip of what reality is for us. You know, it only shows the surface level of reality. It doesn't display every little detail. You know, for example, on this radiator, there is detail baked in, but it's still just a cube. Same with these walls. This is a hospital. Chances are that they've skirted gurneys around these walls and there'd be clipped corners. You know, people brush against the corners, grab them, do whatever, and it gets dirty, it gets chipped. And there'd be brush bars on the sides anyways to prevent gurneys from smacking up the walls. Every chair is uniformly dirty. The glass looks the same everywhere. There's no story. And the real story are the macro elements, the big elements that are added like that. The X-ray scans. That's where the story is. And so the story has to be dug for. And I love it. The player has to fabricate the lore that's being displayed. They have to come to understand it on their own. They have to draw their own conclusions. Reality, to some degree, also does that, which, of course, is why Urbex is so popular, urban exploration. But there's something about a video game. It's a simple version of life, and I think that's one of the reasons that it appeals to me so much doing these video game explorations. Is it's like being a child. When you're a child, the world is simple. Details get muddled. The big things are what are more important. Your brain works simpler, and there's actually research behind that. If I remember right, it was proven that babies, when they're born, up until about, I think, 7 or 8 months old, they don't have the ability to predict near future. And let me explain that a little bit more. For example, if I hold my hand out and I hold a finger behind it, and I pass my finger behind my hand, I can know to expect my finger to come around the other side of my hand. Even if it's someone else's hand and it's someone else's finger, I can know to expect that finger to come around the other side of the hand. But babies at a very early age don't have that. That's the reason that peekaboo is so effective. They don't have that ability to have near future predictability. They can't expect that. That's the reason that peekaboo works so well for very young children. Because when you hide your face, you literally disappear. and then you pop back into existence. There's actually, I believe in... Oh, that's funny. I believe there's actually an Amazonian tribe that... There was another study done based around how language affects your brain. And what this one linguist discovered studying with this one tribe in the Amazon was, if you don't have numbers in your language, it changes. It changes how your brain functions. It's the reason that people who spend their entire life learning, your brains have a plasticity to them. They have a mold, they have a malleability to them. When you learn something, you are legitimately forming new pathways in your brain. When people who spend their entire lives learning are able to grasp concepts quicker, do mental math faster, they're able to understand things much faster, even if it's something that they personally did not spend time studying, they're able to come by it quicker. And that's because of how they train their brains. This tribe in the Amazon, going back to them, they didn't have numbers in their language, and a linguist tried to go and see if he could brute force a numerical education on them. We can look at a handful of pistachios, for example, and pretty easily, very quickly at a glance, tell you, or whoever is conducting the test, how many pistachios are in that hand. I don't have to... For example, if I were to cover, using my right eye again, if I were to cover those dangly bits, I can tell that right off the bat there are 3 there. I don't have to count them. I know that there are 3 immediately by looking at it. But when it's a large array, like these stripes on the street, or all of these together, that can get harder. Now, some people, and I believe it's more common among individuals born with Asperger's, they are able to immediately tell you how many are there because their brain is wired to do it. But for the average person, around 6 or 7, that's when it gets hard to, at a glance, mention how many objects are present. Going back to children, babies, as a part of that, what they don't have is that predictability, that ability to recognize something exists even when they can't see it. And there was this tribe in the Amazon, they had the same exact thing. Even in their language, when they said that someone walked away or that they left, their language literally translated that as they stopped existing. They stopped existing until they were immediately in eyeshot or earshot again, and they returned to presence. So babies don't have that. Very young children don't have that. They only develop that later on. And I found that to be very fascinating, and frankly, I could not tell you for the life of me how we got there, but there it is. Oh, the police department. I don't remember the police department too well, and I don't remember that. That'll be interesting to go down. I can't take credit for everything that I've learned being some immense study session that I take. I actually have grown up watching Vsauce and random YouTube documentaries and different science. So this is the courthouse, partially. Different science YouTube channels and such. And recently I've been watching the podcast that Michael Stevens from Vsauce has been doing with Anna. Is that her name? Or it's Hannah Rice? I don't remember her last name. It's a podcast that they do together, and I can't remember what it's called right off the top of my head. It's something science, something science. I'll put a link to it in the description. It's a really great podcast, and it teaches a lot of really cool things. And of course, Michael Stevens from Vsauce is... Dang. Y'all. I'm like 6'7". Oh gosh, I'm leaving. He often has random facts to share at any time, and frankly, I aspire to be just that way, to have odd facts that I can share, little snippets of information that can be relevant or can be made relevant. I think it's something really cool. And frankly, that's a part of why I love these interesting. It's a part of why I love doing these explorations, going back to my point I made in the hospital, where you have to kind of fabricate the story that you're in. And you have to fabricate the story of the world you're in. Because it can spark the imagination so effectively. Stairs. Oh. Where does this go? Does this go down to a parking garage? Is that where that tunnel went? Oh, it splits off. Vent circulation. Interesting. I'll peek around here real quick. Stairs. So maybe this does go... Oh. Come on. Come here. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of controller lag. There we go. The garage. Okay, so this is the garage, which I assume is where that tunnel... Yeah, so that tunnel wraps around and comes down here. That's cool. Yep, so those are the vents, again, that we're seeing, the open vents, which it is an RP map, so it makes sense. Let's go downstairs here. Let's see what's down here. Armory. So they put the armory on the ground floor. Ah. Well, I guess there's really only one thing to do. I will say these stairs are kind of hard to traverse. At least in this. The jails. Ooh. Interesting. These don't look very comfortable. Honestly, that vent at the end of the hall is very ominous. But it reminds me of the Prison Break map that I played last year. That video didn't do very well. But it was very short, and it strayed pretty heavily from my other content. So not very much of a surprise. The office. Let's go. And if I had to work in an office like this, goodness. Doing paperwork all day? No, thank you. I know some folks like it. Some folks like the sense of completion by doing paperwork, but I don't know. I can't get behind it. I love to be out in the field doing stuff. I've mentioned a couple times, I worked in construction for most of my life, and trying to become a visual effects compositor and scene finisher is a very big tangent in my career plans. Simply, of course, because that has nothing to do with construction. But it's a field I'm incredibly familiar with, and I enjoy it. Ooh, Leprechaun's Winkle Picker. Interesting. We have to go inside now. Can buy your smokes right there. Now this is a cozy place. Oh my goodness. I bet this would be a fun... Oh, and the stained glass is actually transparent. I bet this is a fun place to hang out in an RP server. Admittedly, I never did a lot of RPing. And RP Downtown, that's a classic. I played on that. You know, I did some World War II RPs, some Star Wars ones, but I never could find myself ever actually interested in a Garry's Mod RP. The closest thing that I ever got was playing a War of Rights, and I think I mentioned it before on the channel. It's like a Civil War game, and it's supposed to be more like a, kind of like Battlefield, I guess, but Civil War. And it can be that, but unfortunately, most of the game is dominated by RPers, people that just want to... Oh man. Oh man, it's dark. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, where's the wall? Holy crap. How big is this room? Oh! Oh, the lighting's just bugged. That's why. Weird. Oh, I'm lost. Oh my goodness, that is so dark. Oh gosh. Dang. It's like spooky. That's a wall. Dang, man. Wow. I have no idea where I was going with whatever thought I was expressing. Oh, right. RP. Yeah, I never got into it, and that Civil War game was pretty rough. I had fun with it. I really would love to play more games like that, you know, muskets and such, but it has too big of a crowd of people that just want to feel like they're a part of it. As far as, like, making it official, you know, the entire game had, like, marching and quartering mechanics and saluting, and it was just not, it wasn't for me. I like a more casual playstyle. Alright, y'all know how I feel about houses. A couple videos ago, which I'm surprised didn't really get any traction. I did a very small, I did a neighborhood map with a couple houses in it, and it was a, may have been a Ricky Picky map, I don't remember, but you walk into the super dark house and there's this big, tall, dark figure standing there, and he steals your flashlight, and then he disappears and there's a body upstairs. And that map has pretty much scarred me when it's come to VR house exploration. That map scared me so much. And there's a basement. Man, you know, I also said in a past video, in another house map that I think was also a Ricky Picky map, come to think of it, that I love basements. You know, I think it's 50-50. I think only sometimes I love basements. These are steep steps, dang. Only sometimes. My love for basements is conditional. I didn't like that bit. I didn't love that basement. Now, was this only a one-story house, or is there a second story? I mean, obviously it's not accessible, but there should be another story. Good luck trying to figure out how to get up there. Now, this 7-Eleven is incredibly important to me. So, going back earlier to what I was talking about in the in the video, I used weird texturing glitch. Huh. Oh, there's just something missing there. Strange. I was talking about the film that I shot in front of a green screen for Gary's Mod. This 7-Eleven is the site of probably one of the best scenes we ever shot. Probably one of my favorite scenes I've ever written and produced in my entire personal history. I felt that it was funny. The sound was good, for the most part. It was well shot. It was probably the best acting we've had as far as what the scene demanded. Me and my buddy, we sat in a car parked right here. We went inside. We robbed the place, and we left. And we we made it look really cool. And, wow. I'm pretty sure it was this one. Yeah. Wow, it's just, I got so used to seeing the 7-Eleven from only the angles of the screenshots that we used for the film. I kind of forgot what the inside looked like. This is amazing. And so behind the counter we had my buddy who played a character named Craig, and he played this very unenthusiastic, unmotivated cashier that didn't care he was getting robbed. And then, of course, me and my buddy standing right here, we walk in robbing the place, and it was so fun. As a matter of fact, yeah, I think I might even... I'll put some screenshots on screen, I'll say it that way. But if you want to see that stuff, let me know, and I'll put together a cut of the film that I feel is adequate to show. And I'll probably put a link to it in the description. I don't know that I'll actually release it as a public video. I may just unlist it and then put the link down below. So if you want to see that, then tell me in the comments, and I'd be happy to do that. But this 7-Eleven, I probably have more fond memories of this specific 7-Eleven than I do of a lot of maps on Gary's Mod. Or Bonelab, for that matter. But I love this 712. But it was pretty awesome. I love this map. Very nostalgic for me. Very nostalgic. This diner also was a part of that film. Not necessarily inside of it, although I'm sure that would have been pretty cool. But parked right here, we had my buddy in his car, and that was the end scene. So, yeah. I don't remember the inside of this diner, though. Ah, yeah. Diners in video games for me are really funny. And I think it's only because I played that game Ready or Not when it first came out, the SWAT game. And there's a level involving a diner, and I absolutely love it. It's probably one of my favorite levels on that game. I miss that game. I haven't played that game in a long time. The payphone and the bathroom. I'm also realizing that I was talking about my nostalgia for doing these videos, partially, I've recognized it just now, partially because making these videos was kind of one of the first things I did when I got back from living in Europe. And being away from home, if you've been away from home for a really long time and then you go back, it's really strange. I think I initially described it as coming home after being away for a long time and everyone rearranges the furniture. So it feels like your space, but it doesn't feel like your space. It's like you're invading on something that should be familiar to you. And these videos were kind of a way for me to ignore that and to slowly kind of readapt to being home. So I find a comfort in making these videos because of that fact. Ooh, I remember this. I had some scene set up here, and I think I immediately, or not long after I took it out of the film, I took it out of the script. Writers of bad checks will be shot. I love that. And this is the back supply room, goes out front. Around the other side is the shooting range. Meep. That's cool. Yeah. And then the clothing store. Yeah. Yeah, I think I even, I wrote multiple short film scripts for this map, I'm pretty sure. Or at the very least, I do remember there was a scene that I wrote, I'm pretty sure, for that short film in this clothing store. There's so many scenes that I just didn't do. And looking back, even if the film never actually got completed, it would have been so much fun. Like, I look at the shots that we did, and gosh, we had so much fun doing it. We had such a good time. The more I talk about it, the more I'm motivated to post what we shot publicly. Bits and PCs. So I keep stepping out of my boundaries, so I just keep getting blasted with my room. I also just love this because this technology is stuck 15, 20 years ago. I love it. Also, I'm a really big fan of like retro futurism and analog futurism. So tech like this, I just absolutely love. And I've been doing my final projects for my last couple classes recently. And they're all modeling projects, 3D modeling projects, and I've been designing these rooms and this technology and these characters. And it's been really fun because it's pretty much just given me an excuse to browse Pinterest for hours on end. And something I've noticed is my opinion of, and this may get controversial, my opinion of AI art has altered really strangely. I am against AI art being used in place of what man could create. But what I'm not necessarily against, and admittedly have done myself, is use AI to create art that motivates me to make something of my own. And on Pinterest right now, there is a huge library of AI art that is being produced, is being made and posted. Namely, art having to do with like futuristic apartments. And I'll put some examples on screen. And this is AI, but man, it is fascinating. What I love about AI art is it can give you the opportunity to produce something that you may not really be able to fabricate in your own mind. But the great thing is, while I don't think that this can be considered art, it's AI generation, what it can do is it does inspire me to begin modeling things that are similar to it and changing it in my own way. And if that's considered ripping it off or not, I guess I'll leave that up to you. But I find that, at least in my own needs, AI does a pretty good job of motivating me to create. It makes me want to do more, makes me want to produce more, makes me want to prove what gives me power over a computer, what grants my creations merit over its own. Almost like I want to prove myself. Oh. I'm not going to lie, that's kind of unsettling. I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. Goodness. I'm sick and tired of basements. I'm not going in the basement. I do like wood paneling, though. I grew up in a house that had it, and I love it. This looks like cedar paneling, probably. Of course, these are like 2x10s or 2x12s or something. But I do like it. Insulated ceiling. This is a tall ceiling, too. I mean, oh my goodness. If I'm like 6'7" or 6'6", this is easily a 12-foot ceiling, if not higher. It's like a 13 or 14 foot ceiling in here. That's nuts. Yeah, that's a big door. That's a very big door. But back to AI. I think it can be used inspirationally, and obviously AI doesn't inspire everyone. And it doesn't always... Oh my goodness. That is a thing and a half. I almost feel like if I stare long enough, my brain starts to make faces in the darkness. Dang. But, you know, of course, AI is attacking the internet right now, and this is where I see it incredibly negatively. AI content on YouTube is getting very difficult to get around. I've recently started noticing that there are tons of YouTube channels that are completely AI, and if you're little, or if you're older and you don't know, or if you just don't know what you're looking for, it is so easy to mistake it for man-made content. I was watching this video one night while laying in bed. It was about, you know, facts about space, and I think it was something along the lines of 10 theories about time or 10 haunting theories that change your perception of time, or something like that. And I watched one whole video and I thought, oh, that was pretty cool. And then I watched another video, and then I realized, hold on, this is a totally different account. It's a totally different channel. And I looked at both channels side by side, and they were producing the same exact content under different names. And I realized, oh my gosh, this is an AI content farm. And someone in the comments said, I can't believe this doesn't have more views, obviously praising the content. And I responded, that's because it's part of it's part of a content phishing AI content scheme, or a view or interaction phishing content scheme. And I realized just how much of that there is, and it's getting bad. And so I cautiously accept AI as something to be utilized. Now, I don't know, algorithmic, I guess is what you could call it, like AI that runs computer programs. I think algorithmic AI is pretty cool, and I'm sure there's a proper term for it that I'm not using. Generative AI, I think, is an issue. Language learning models, I think, to a degree, are an issue. Now, wow, this is glittery and foggy. Is it? I wonder if it's that way for y'all. It's beautiful, but oh my goodness. Interesting. AI is not going anywhere. That's one thing that I've come to accept. It's not going anywhere. And I recognize that it's something that we're just going to have to learn to navigate. And I knew it wasn't going anywhere the moment that in my arts school, my school that teaches how to be a programmer, how to be a 3D modeler, how to be a film producer, how to be a writer, how to be a director, how to be an audio tech, how to be a musician, all these things that AI threatens. And the school was even saying, here's how you can implement it wisely and in good judgment. And I realized in that moment, oh my gosh, yeah, AI is not going anywhere. We just have to learn how to stay one step ahead of it and how to use it responsibly. And so I think that's the reason that I had to kind of recognize, sure, some people want a Butlerian jihad. I'm going to break myself real quick with a Dune reference. This is another site of another shot that we did in this back room here. This was probably my favorite scene that is actually supposed to be illuminated. I'm surprised that isn't illuminated, probably because this is the nighttime version of the map. But right here, we had a really cool shot that was very well lit, and it looked awesome. I'll put it on screen for you. But it was my favorite shot, composition-wise, of the entire show, film probably. But back to my comment, Butlerian Jihad, Dune reference, attack, war on thinking machines, essentially man versus AI. To catch those of you up who are not familiar with Dune, some people want a Butlerian Jihad now. They want all AI to go away. Honestly, I don't think that's wise. I think AI, to some degree, is the same technology as a Google search. AI is really only producing the content that we give it. Google searches, and we're going in circles now because I recognize this is where we started, is right there. Google searches are simply producing a result in response to a query, and it provides information that we have already created and uploaded. AI is doing the same thing. It's simply regurgitating what mankind has already produced. It's not creating anything new. I think, though, where the threat is people using it in replacement of their own critical thinking and their own creative processes. I think that's where the issue is. People need to just learn. I say people as a broad term, which I probably shouldn't, but people just need to recognize that AI is not going anywhere. We just need to learn to use it responsibly and effectively within our respective industries. You know, for me as a visual effects designer, if I want an explosion, I could easily ask generative AI to produce me a video of an explosion on a black screen. Oh, another shot from our short film was here. But I'm not going to do that because, well, first off, AI stuff sucks, and you can tell it's AI right off the bat. It's not there yet. It's not good enough to be entirely replaceable. Now, at some point, it may get to the point where you can produce your own assets, where you just kind of paste over an explosion that AI generated. But it's not... It takes so much away. What I'm grateful for is that I get to grow up, or that I got to grow up in a generation that respects, to some degree, artesian handcrafted stuff. For a long time I used to make fun of, handmade, artesian, organic, handcrafted, that, what I used to call hippie stuff. But now I recognize, no, that took time, that took talent. My mom makes her own jewelry. She's made tiaras for people, necklaces, pendulums, she had to craft things. That's why I love farmers markets. I grew up around a farmers market, and I didn't get to go as often as I really, in retrospect, I really should have. I should have gone way more, and I kind of am upset. I'm sad that I don't live in that area anymore to be able to go to it. But it was amazing. You could go, you could get handmade soap, you could get handmade artwork, jewelry, clothing, pillowcases, towels, all this kind of stuff. AI can't do that. And the day that it can is the day that we just become the chair people from WALL-E. I don't want to be a chair person. I don't know about y'all. Oh my goodness. I do not remember this building. Probably also should make sure my OBS is still recording. Where's my computer? Yep, still going. Oof, man. AI. It's quite a thing, y'all. It's a superpower that we've given ourselves. We've created a machine that can assist our thinking process. And our biggest weakness is that there are those of us that don't desire to do anything that something else can do for it. In short, humanity is only as strong as its weakest link. No, that's wrong. That's entirely wrong. We're individuals. We're only as strong as we individually are. But when it comes to our technology, it's the weakest people that hold that technology that end up causing the decisions that are made having to do with it. And I'll use a controversial example, firearms. Firearms have not really been a problem as far as, in human history. But when the wrong people get their hands on it, it's the same thing with vehicles. It's the same thing with, television, with YouTube. Anything can be taken for granted. Anything can be abused. And I think AI is very much the same way. The wrong people use AI, and that causes all sorts of issues. I mean, look at when generative AI first started. One of the first things that people started doing was making their own adult content, and even worse, making their own adult content about children. I've always wanted to do that in real life, but I can only ever remember seeing a real fireman's pole in, I don't know, maybe a children's museum when I was little, but I don't actually remember getting to use it. I've always been upset about that. I love fireman poles. I think we just need to be careful about AI. And we're back to where we started. So I guess we just need to make our way back to the other side of the map now. Start exploring there. It's going to be a long video. I might just keep it as one long run. Everyone likes a... Oh! This hotel. I did a game one time. I think I even filmed it. It was like a save or a dupe. I think it was a save on the Scaries mod map where you could go through the hotel, and it was kind of John Wick-ish. And you met the boss up in that window and then kicked him out. It was really cool. But, yeah. I don't know what point I was making. Oh, yes. I might just make this one long run video because, if you're playing video games or you're eating or you're doing homework, it's nice to have something going in the background. So I may just make this one long supercut. So if that's the case, enjoy the extra long video. Man, this sharp architecture at night is so eerie. Also, at the time of playing, it's like 10, I think it's just about 10:30 for me, local time. So, the night vibes are definitely kicking in. Although I will admit, I don't feel as creeped out by this. I almost feel comforted. Being able to walk around a city, I grew up in an area where you could go outside, you could walk around, and you'd never fear that you might get jumped or robbed or hurt, or that you might come across something that could be harmful. I grew up in an incredibly safe area. Thanks to my parents, of course. And I have now moved to an area that is not necessarily as safe, and maybe it is. It's just I'm not familiar with the area as well yet, and so I'm kind of not necessarily afraid, but I'm wary of taking myself on late night walks. Because I just don't know the area, I don't know the people, the personality, the culture here. I mentioned I'm living in Florida now, and so I'm not familiar with how it rolls here in Florida sometimes. But eventually, maybe at some point, I'll get to a place where, I feel like I can go on a late night walk and I don't feel like I'm going to come across or be harassed or anything. Come across something that might be harmful. I mean, I'm a grown man, I can take care of myself, but still, you don't want to purposefully put yourself in harm's way. And the first way to avoid a problem is to not put yourself in a position where you can face one. Go this way. I think this is one of the master suites. Yeah, this is cool. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. So that's what they did with the water. It's just a plane. That's cool. Just a flat plane. So was this... I don't remember this being... I guess it was. I don't remember this being that... What in the world? Huh. I don't remember this being that room. Maybe it was. I swear there's another, like, bigger room on this floor. Must be down the hall. Oh, gosh. A pool on the roof. That's so funny. I know that's a normal thing for some people, but, well, for me it's not. Suspending that much water in the air. What's amazing is they had to account for the footing of this building when they were building it to install a pool. They had to account for the weight of all this cubic feet of water. What is it? 1 cubic meter of water is a ton? I may be wrong, but I know it's super heavy. Oh. This right here reminds me of growing up in... So I've mentioned a number of times, I grew up in a very traditional church, and the hallways were always carpeted, and they had walls. Some of the buildings, the meeting houses, had like this carpet material on the walls, so it would dampen and, you know, keep a quiet place, keep the echoes down, stuff like that. And when I was little, I used to love, after Wednesday night youth activities, to run around the building late at night. My dad had a leadership position at a couple points throughout my life where we would often stick around after Wednesday night youth activities. After half the lights in the building had been turned off, my dad had a key to the building, so we'd stick around because he knew that my little brother and I liked playing in the church building late at night. And so I found a very deep love, and I mentioned I'm a fan of the librarian, and he uses what's the phrase? A creepy and cozy, or creepy and comfy vibe. And this very much is that for me. Dark, padded hallways. I don't know, I feel almost secure simply because of, you know, because of my upbringing and running around in dark church buildings when I was little. So it's strange, but I'm comforted by it. So this is not exactly as I remember it, but I guess this was the map. I could have sworn there was another room, and maybe it's just another hotel on the other side of this map, or another map entirely, but I remember there being a much bigger master suite where you could Sparta kick someone out of the window. Interesting. Ooh, there's that feeling that I have forgotten about, rocking back and forth on my feet on a hard floor doing these YouTube videos. Kills your hips a little bit. Of course, when I was making these videos more consistently, I think at one point, what was I doing? I think I was making 2 of these videos a week, which is insane. I always do that. I give myself so much work when I first start making content for something. And then once it starts to get harder to make content, because I've pretty much drained whatever thing that I'm doing of, you know, its content. Like, at this point, I'm running low on interesting maps in Bonelab. And so I'm starting to try and figure out what can I do? What other videos can I make that still hold the same vibe? Because obviously, many of you are subscribed to me because you appreciate, well, at the very least, the number of you that have subscribed within the last 6 months subscribe to me because you enjoy the type of content that I've started doing with these map explorations. And see, that's the window of that apartment building we went in, the bedroom we went in earlier. And I've been trying to figure out what it is I can do to continue bringing about that vibe in my videos. And I do reels as well. I still do them. I just haven't done them in a while. Atari videos. I love the Atari. I collect Atari cartridges, Atari consoles, and I love cleaning. I love seeing if I can repair broken Atari game cartridges. And I actually have a massive collection of games for the Atari and an Atari. I have an entire Atari system I need to test and see if it works. And they've been sitting in a cardboard box in the corner of my room, and it's probably upwards of 40 games and a console. And I just have not put the work in to make any videos about it because, frankly, I want to do something original with it. You know, my first thought was ASMR Atari game cleaning video, but I'm not an ASMR channel. This motel was actually part of an end scene. An end scene. There was a big shootout in this motel in my short film, and what was going to happen was we were going to get into the shootout. We were going to drive out of here, get into a shootout down the street, and at the end of the street we crash. My character gets killed, and my buddy's character survives. So this motel is kind of it was a story that never got told, which is kind of sad, but yeah. Anyway, excuse me. The night atmosphere and the presence of beds in this motel is starting to get to me. I've been awake for a long time, so makes sense. But, wow, you do not need a closet that big in a motel. And the TV on the stand. Honestly, so there's a thrift store in my hometown that still has one of these, and I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But, yeah, Atari. I want to make more reels. Honestly, I want to make better videos having to do with the Atari, but I want to do it in a way that's entertaining to people who are enjoying this type of content. I don't know what to do about that because, frankly, I'm kind of out of ideas. Like, I very much want to get my hands in that box and start cleaning those cartridges, seeing what works, seeing if I can repair it, and, you know, kind of showcasing that. But I want to do it, you know, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it in a way where I can share that experience with other people, and I want that to be entertaining, something that you'd want to put on, even if just in the background. Because, frankly, I'm quite sure that a lot of my videos just end up playing in the background while someone's eating or doing homework, which I'm perfectly fine with. I think it's honestly kind of nice to be considered as something you just want in your airspace. Something floating around in the room, a voice that just kind of plays. It's kind of nice to know that I present myself in a way where an individual would want me to be a part of their atmosphere. I think that's something a lot of YouTubers don't think about. When you put my video on, you're inviting me to be a part of your atmosphere, which is the reason that I try and keep my videos clean. I try and keep them appropriate. Because, frankly, I don't want to pollute my airspace. I don't want to pollute my atmosphere with content that, frankly, chases good vibes away, that chases good energy away, so to say. You know? That chases a certain spirit away. So I'm very careful with the content that I produce, the content that I consume, the content that I interact with. So I try and keep it clean, I try and keep it friendly. And of course, it's no secret now, it's the way I was raised. Don't pollute your mind with other people's garbage. It's a quote that I try and live by. I want to go up there. Some of these buildings, I don't even know what they're supposed to be. And I think that's kind of the point at sometimes. You know, this is an RP map, and so these spaces can be converted into whatever they need to be. I mean, I'm almost positive someone has probably run a money laundering scheme, probably in this very back room here, playing on an RP server. And I can hear my computer and my walls and the floors in my apartment settling as the pressure changes. You know, the sun goes down. Oh, this just drops off. Oh, this is, Oh! What? What? That's just open. Huh. I don't think I'm supposed to be back here. This looks like I'm clipped into a building. Well, there was a building. I could see that there's pipes and stuff, but obviously not anymore. That's really weird. Inner city basketball court. Love to see it. I have no idea what I was saying. Shoot. Oh well. No clue what I was saying. And then I'm going to end up going back while I edit this video and checking, and then I find out what I was talking about. I'm going to be like, oh man, I wish I could have finished that thought. We were talking about dark RP servers. I never got into those. Oh gosh! I pulled the wrong thing out. I just freaking shot myself. It's probably one of the first YouTube videos I ever watched that had the F word in it. Ooh. 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 I like this. Ooh, this is nice. I like this a lot. This I do vaguely remember from the original map. I like it. Let's go a little higher here. Ooh, this kind of reminds me of one of the clubs from Cyberpunk. It's a club. There's a mission where you can choose to do it stealthily, or you can just kind of go in guns a-blazing. Ah, a little private performing room where people can come play music or something, you know? What you do in a club behind a closed door. Gosh, I keep doing it. Sorry. It's on me. Oh my goodness, this is a dark room. What the heck is supposed to be behind there? I just freaking shot myself. Yeah, YouTube used to be such a battleground. Anything could get posted on YouTube. Of course, now you've got to be so careful. Which, I'm grateful I don't really have that problem, because, as I mentioned earlier, I try and keep my content clean. Sorry for that little hitch there. I had to start a new recording because my computer ran out of space, so I had to make some room. As I was saying, I try and keep my content clean, because I just want to be someone that can be invited anywhere I go, you know? I want to be a non-problematic figure. Because the way I see it is, if you don't need to be, why be one? So I think we're coming around to having seen just about everything on this map. That random opening in the wall still is so funny to me. I'm just wondering if there's anything we've missed. The used car lot, which I've spent a lot of time in Sandbox on Gary's mod plane with that. This, I think I did some screenshot with the Noam Chomsky figure somewhere around here. The pharmacy. Oh, this would have been such a fun scene. So I wrote a scene in my short film, feature-length film. I wrote a scene in my film that took place as in the pharmacy as a pharmacy robbery, and it would have been so funny if we ever could have gotten it filmed. And really, there's nothing stopping me except, you know, schooling from getting the band back together and doing it. I mean, granted, my buddy who is who played the partnering lead, I'm pretty sure he's going to be moving out of state soon, and some other folks that would have been involved moved to the other side of the country, so I would have had to rewrite it. Okay, so things are definitely broken. That sign is supposed to be over here, and that's probably just it's probably just an error with the port of the map. Some things got shifted around. I'm noticing that. It's probably what happened on the over in the building with the hole in the wall. Open warehouse. And the diesel station here. Do want to go over on the docks again. I liked that. It looks like there's more down there as well. Do want to double check and make sure I'm actually still recording. Okay, yep. Yep. That was all everything that you just saw up until that point there in the club. That was one long recording. I think it was like an hour and a half long of, 2K 60 FPS recording. So it was like a 45 gigabyte video file. Dang. Big doors, man. That's one thing I'm starting to learn is that oh goodness, hold on. It actually can be hard to get scale right in 3D modeling. That is, if you're not setting your scale in the very beginning. Because I've been doing a lot of 3D scenes recently, and my consistent issue is I'm modeling things out of scale with each other. I wonder, do I take that tunnel to get over there? I kind of forget. Oh, goodness. I just stepped on my link cable, my bad. I need to check in and see what Meta is doing. I think, didn't they just do like a big thing with Ray-Bans? Because, I've been keeping up, I kept up with Oculus for years, and I own every headset with the exception of the 3S, because if I could get the 3, why would I get the 3S? But I've tried to keep up with their headsets and their release dates and stuff, and honestly I'm happy that they took a little break from just dumping out more headsets, because frankly the 3 is a really good place to pause for a little while and really work on hardware development. But I know that they man, this is quite the atmosphere. Maybe this is our thumbnail. I'll probably have to test some. You know what this reminds me? There's that meme, that still image from what I think is a Japanese movie of a guy on a moped with his girlfriend on his back. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit. If I could find that image, I'll put it on screen. But anyway, yeah, Meta. I know that I saw that they were trying to do a little bit more with like augmented reality, I guess, and kind of take a step away from like video game oriented VR, which I guess if that's what they want to do, that's fine, it's their decision. But their money's not going to be in Ray-Ban, at least in my opinion, their money's not going to be in Ray-Ban's sunglasses with cameras in them. As far as I have read and seen in the news, people keep making adult content with them instead. So, which I will admit, and adult content has very quickly developed our technologies. Take VHS, for example. VHS was not the first and only tape-based video medium that existed. Metallic tape, of course, I mean. For example, Betamax was also an up-and-coming technology that ran parallel with VHS for some time. VHS was developed by JVC, who many may know from the JVC camcorder used in Back to the Future, but they also produced a lot of other technology. And Sony at the same time had created Betamax, their version of a metallic tape video and audio storing medium. And Betamax was pretty good. It was a little bit higher quality than VHS, but their biggest downfall was that Betamax just couldn't store as much video. It kind of maxed out around an hour. Now, JVC's VHS, on the other hand, could store 2+ hours worth of time. Also, it was cheaper to produce than Betamax. Of course, that price came at a cost because, oh my gosh, I don't know if y'all see it. There's a buoy on a rod over there. I thought someone standing on the dock. But anyway, Betamax was a little bit more expensive to produce, and Sony kept it pretty proprietary. They had no desire of really spreading that technology. They wanted to kind of keep it for themselves, but JVC ended up making the better decision. See, JVC decided to license the VHS out to multiple companies, which then companies like Samsung or Sanyo or Zenith, all these other companies started producing VHS players, and Sony was they were the only ones being able to make Betamax players, and they were more expensive to produce, and they were harder to come by. And along with a number of other factors, that's kind of the Cliff Notes version of the story of how VHS took over the industry. But the adult film industry really grasped onto VHS because they could get longer playtime, and it was easier and cheaper to produce, and, well, frankly, it was easier to get a player. It was easier to get a VHS player than a Betamax player, and more people would be able to afford it. And, of course, that industry had a heavy desire to spread their whatever they believed that they had to offer to society as far and wide as they could. And so they went with VHS. And the adult film industry was not necessarily the final nail in the coffin, but it most certainly helped, seeing as there was no internet, and if that's the kind of media you wanted to consume, you had to go to a video rental store for it. And so video rental stores filled up with VHS tapes. It's interesting to me sometimes wondering how certain technologies get their start, and that whole story makes me really curious to know how 3D video became a thing. I wonder if I even have a car downloaded. Let me check. Well, I thought I downloaded some car add-ons, but I only have this hot dog and a Hatsune Miku plushie. And this car. So let's go for a ride. If I can even figure out how to... Can I get in this thing, please? Oh, is this even like a thing I can do? It works. You just stay there. Oh man, this thing is slow and it's loud. Does it even have a radio? Alright, time to tackle the tower. I almost forgot to come back here. I love how it feels like the hotel in The Matrix. Let's see what time it is on the different clocks. That's pretty cool. So my local time, according to this, it's 11:05, which honestly is not that far off. Of course, elevators don't work, so we will have to take the stairs. Huh. Ooh. Oh, wow. Man, now that shot right there, I would love to find a map that looks like that. That's amazing. See, I love... I'm kind of a sucker for brutalist architecture. And, well, I'd love to find more maps like that. Getting tangled up in my cord. I gotta start using my joystick to get up these stairs. Gosh. Is it still going up? It's still going up. Well, let's stop here at floor 6 then. So as I noted, there are a couple scenes that in my short film that I actually shot with this building in mind. Oh, this is so cool. You know, it's something magical about VR that when you play something you're familiar with in VR, it takes on a new... You kind of get to appreciate it in a different light because you get to see it in a perspective you never have before. Namely, you know, virtual reality, seeing it in a 3D... Oh, my hand is stuck. Oh gosh, I am stuck. Oh, because there's glass there. As I was saying, you get to appreciate it in a new dimension, in an extra dimension that you never had before. And it's something that I love about being able to come back to these ports of these Garry's Mod maps. I mean, frankly, there's nothing stopping me from doing Garry's Mod VR, but it kind of seems like I've made a brand for myself of doing these Bonelab videos. Recently, I saw someone had commented something along the lines of how they had discovered me to be a niche Bonelab content creator, which I thought was kind of cool. It wasn't ever exactly my intention. It was just a game that I had a deep love for, and I had easy access to it. Especially at the time, since my computer was in no position to be doing VR, and since then, of course, I have purchased a computer that can handle it. And so at the time, I only had Bonelab available on my Quest 3. But nonetheless, I do enjoy doing these Bonelab videos. I just hope at some point in the future there will be more to offer, because at the moment, I'm getting pretty close to having played just about everything that actually interests me on Bonelab. Even some of my favorite map creators have... I don't know if they've necessarily slowed down, or map creators, I should say map port, you know, the individuals who port the maps over, and, you know, they're mod developers and such. Briggy Picky as an example. He's just kind of right off the top of my head, he is the one that I think of because we see so much from him. But we just don't see as much en masse compared to Garry's Mod, the obvious example. Whoa. Hold on, are we skipping floors? This is floor 8. That's floor 6. What's that about? Is that a normal thing that some buildings do? That's weird. Never seen that before. So, okay, so this floor is actually another scene where we did a shot. We did one right here with me playing a character alternate to my own and my buddy's character. So we had a whole scene set up here, which was really fun. And the boardrooms. But going back to my previous thought, I do hope that in the future we'll start to see more content for Bonelab. I guess if I were to put it into some kind of metric, we've talked a lot about the librarian in this video, and I don't see why I need to stop. But if someone decided someday that through my content I became to Bonelab what the librarian has come to be known as for Gary's mod, I wouldn't be necessarily upset by that. But the biggest holdback, of course, being there needs to be content to cover. And at the moment, we're running out of content. So I'll have to start getting creative soon. Now, this office was the site of a lot of scenes in my film. Oh, it's so weird and to see it in 3D. This is so odd. We did a lot of scenes in here, and I decorated this entire room. In the big boardroom. You can tell that I'm falling out of my boundary. I just touched my desk, and normally I play far away from my desk. I need to look into getting one of those VR mats that are textured so you know which way you're oriented. Ooh. I know a lot of VR YouTubers use those, and seeing as that's primarily the type of content I've been making, maybe I ought to look into getting one of those. Now this glass is most certainly... yeah. I can't go through it. Well, let's make our way back to the bottom of the building, and I think it's time we go check out those sewers. My biggest issue is I don't remember where we saw that access hatch. So I just have to find an alley that has one. Did we go in there? I'm at a point where I don't know where we've been. Oh, this is new. Oh, wow. This is a big apartment. Quite the foyer. Well, I mean, wait, is that a hatch? It is, but I don't see an opening. Let's take a look at this building first, because I completely missed this building. I also need to make sure... I was having some frame rate issues earlier on my OBS. I just want to make sure that it's still capturing at a proper speed. It looks like it is. Sometimes it seems that OBS will... it requires some time to warm up, so to say. so that it'll actually capture your video properly. That's dangerous. An old person could trip on that. Or a young person. Oh, I can hear the wind picking up outside my apartment window. I'm noticing I'm also getting frame hitching on my headset, which tells me I probably need to prioritize performance over graphics, and I'm out of practice. Typically I will disable all mods that don't have to do immediately with whatever I'm playing. And unfortunately, I have all of my mods installed right now. Again, I'm out of practice. So I need to, at some point, go through before the next video and clean everything out. There's a really nice word that I like in German that expresses the thought of cleaning it out entirely, and it's löschen. Löschen is like to extinguish or to expunge, to wipe free of, to clear. And I need to do that to my oh goodness. We must be on the top. Yep. Another access hatch. This will actually be good, because now we can look down at the city and see if we see some hatch. That's not doing me any good. So, I wonder if there's one behind the tire shop. Come on. I don't know. See, there's an access there, but I don't know exactly where we need to go to find one. Oh! The salvage yard. We never went here either. There's so much we missed. I mean, it's a big map. At least I don't think we went in here. It's dark. These flashlights in this game just don't reach far enough. Oop, I'm falling out of my boundary again, I can tell. I just kicked my chair. We will find an access. I do want to talk a little bit more again about kind of the future content of this channel. You know, eventually we will run out of Bonelab maps to play. And I want to hear from y'all what you would like to see once that kind of is bound to happen. Do you want me to start looking at Gary's mod stuff? Or I did mention that I do have a silent obsession with older games. I wouldn't mind getting into some of that on the channel. You know, consoles and such. But I do need y'all's input. Ooh. It's dark. Another hatch. But no way in. Oh, that's open. Goodness, this light is giving me a seizure. Oh. What is this? an empty storefront. Am I losing my mind? I swear, did we not see an access hatch open at the beginning of this video? Did we not see one? I feel like I can vividly see it in my mind, but I swear I've looked everywhere. Alright, well, there really isn't much that we've missed besides that sewer system. If one of y'all knows how to get to it, let me know. Maybe I'll come back and take a look at it. So with that being said, I think we've seen everything that we can see, for the most part, on this map. But if there is something major that I've missed that you'd like me to come back and take a look at, just let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to do that. And if you have any recommendations for future videos, please don't be shy. You can also tell me about those in the comments. If you want to support the map creator, you can play this map. There will be a link for it in the description. If you'd like to support me, I've got a link for that as well in the description. And thanks for coming back. I know it's been a while and I've been pretty inconsistent, but, well, frankly, my dreams are coming true. And I can't sit idly by while that happens. I need to be active. And I'll extend the same invitation to y'all. Go out there and be active. Make things happen. Make memories. Build yourself up. And in the process, build other people up. That's how we win. So until the next video, y'all take care.